Right, so here we are with Erika Moen, the artist, author, creator of DAR. It's a website, and she has her new self-published book, a super girly, top secret comic diary. So tell us about yourself. How long have you been doing DAR?
DAR I've been doing for the last 6 years.
Mm-hmm.
I started when I was a freshman or sophomore in college,
Mm-hmm.
and then I kept it up since then.
Mm-hmm.
And I've been doing comics for more like 12 years, I think.
Wow. And you probably get this question all the time, but where does DAR come from?
I even did a comic about it, because yes, I do get that question all the time, and I don't blame anyone for asking, because it's a ridiculous title. What happened was, I was in college, and I had this affectation where I would say dar instead of duh,
Mm-hmm.
or so I would trip and I'd be like, oh, dar, or yeah, I would just say it whenever I felt like.
Mm-hmm.
And when I was making the comic, they were these little self-indulgent strips that didn't mean anything and were totally frivolous. So I gave them this really ridiculous title because, it's not like it's going to go anywhere. And 6 years later, it is still DAR, a super girly, top secret comic diary. Be very careful what you name something. Name everything as if it's going to last.
Well, this is pretty autobiographical. It centers on your life and how you've evolved over the years. How do the people in your life feel about that?
Well, I have learned to check with people before I write them into a comic, or just run it by people to make sure that they're comfortable with what I'm about to say.
Mm-hmm.
And when I very first started, it was just like, oh, I got dumped, I'm so depressed, this person is a monster, and I would just do those comics. And then of course they would see them later, and it's like, oh, that hurt their feelings. Oh, maybe this isn't just about me, even though it's, my feelings on it doesn't mean I necessarily get to put that out there. Mm-hmm. So this book is just 3 years of my life. It's from 2006 to the very beginning of 2009. Mm-hmm. And that one, I think I can pretty confidently say that nothing is in there about other people that I did not have their consent to put out.
Okay. Why did you focus on that specifically at the time?
Because that's when I started to get better as a cartoonist. Mm-hmm. And that's when I kind of started having things worth sharing. Mm-hmm. And yeah, my art skill improved, my storytelling improved, and I just generally an improvement.
Well, a lot of the book concentrates on you as a lesbian falling in love with a man and getting married, which congratulations.
Oh, thanks. We just had 1 year a couple days ago.
Excellent. Well, what's the reception been like from the gay and lesbian community?
Very mixed. Mm-hmm. Like real life people in real queers in my life, they're all cool with it. They're just, you fall in love, it happens. It's not that, like, part of the whole the queer motto is you can't help who you can't force who you fall in love with. It's natural who you fall in love with. And for the most part, people, okay, you were a lesbian, you fell in love with a man, that still applies. You have the freedom to fall in love with whoever you want. That's not our issue, Online, it's been a bit different, because online is where all the radicals go, and they've got an opinion about everything, and so I have oh my god. There's been quite a different reception, just based on how radical and how much of an ideologue you are. So of course I've gotten I've had people approach me from the internet first. They didn't know me in real life, but read my comic and come up to me at a convention and be like, I'm just so disappointed in you. It's like, really? My personal life, the thing that makes me most happy for me that doesn't affect you at all, you're really disappointed in me? Okay, if that's what you want to be stressed out about, I'm happy.
Well, I thought it was really interesting in the book you also included the reverse, a girl who had been straight who fell in love with a woman. So yes. I liked how, you kind of explore both sides of that.
It happens. Like, you think you know what your sexuality is, and then you meet somebody who's so incredible. I get goosebumps. But you meet somebody who just completely flips that on its head. You meet people who are exceptions to that, or maybe they're the gateway drug to the other lifestyle, But I don't know. Sexuality is not something that everybody can just put in a box. Some people it works fine for. Like, there's some people, they knew they were a lesbian since they were a kid, and they're a lesbian the whole rest of their life. That's great. Some people who were a lesbian and identified as that and weren't interested in men, and then met a man who flipped that switch. So I still identify as queer though. I don't consider myself to be straight, but yeah.
Well, what was the self-publishing process like with this book?
Very interesting, very educational. Like the actual assembly of the book, laying it out, picking the strips, and because I've been doing this comic so long, my toning for it has changed. I was very first learning how to use Photoshop through this comic. So of course it's like a Photoshop disaster. And for the book I went back and I retoned all my old strips so there would be a consistent, not colors, but grays throughout. And that was really fun. And then when it actually came time to get the book printed, I took it to a printer who shall remain nameless. And I paid them up front in full out of my savings, and I told them it's very important to have it by this date, and it was fine. We talked about the files a bit because some bleeds needed adjustment or whatever. So they had seen my content, and they have published work that is straight up pornographic. Like one of the books they published is True Porn, which is an anthology that I was in even. And yet, less than 2 weeks before I was supposed to have my 1,000 books, I get a call from my representative saying, the branch we sent it to is declining to print it because of the adult content.
Really?
The company itself is okay with your content. We don't have a problem with that. But the individual employees at this branch do. Therefore, they get veto power.
Wow.
Yeah,
Right.
paid up front, had a deadline, less than 2 weeks, they can just, whoop, sorry, our
Never
employees
mind.
don't like this.
Never mind.
So they sent it to another branch, exact same thing happened. And this was in the US.
Yeah.
And this is a company that has branches all around the world. Like I think they have 170 locations or something. And in the US, it's cheaper to ship the book over to me because I'm in the US.
Exactly.
So then it got sent over to Canada. And Canada, I love Canada. Canada's great. They were like, what's the big deal?
Exactly.
Unfortunately, they cost more than the American version. And it cost more to ship it. And I was like, well, since it was your personal employees who caused this whole problem, maybe you guys should pick up the difference? No, not gonna do that. So like, they held my books ransom for me to pay more money than I had already signed up to pay because it was their fault. I got my books very, very late. That cost me money as well because I had all these events I was supposed to be to. I'd taken pre-orders where I said, you'll have your book by this date.
Exactly.
And that was totally blown. So I did get my book. I don't mean to bitch so much. It was quite an eye-opening experience. The quality of my book is great. I'm extremely happy with the physical product, but never working with that company again. I just, wow, guys. And now, I've actually, in 6 months, I am down to my last 50 books out of 1,000.
That's great.
So I put in my reprint, and I'm using Transcontinental this time. And I've been very happy with them so far.